Recording in progress. I love that voice. I'm so used to that voice. So, in the world of Calvin Schwartz and conversation with Calvin, we the species, there are interviews and there are interviews. But for sentimentality and importance and relevance and introspection and history and about at least about 18 more adjectives. Uh, there's TARA-JEAN McDONALD BONANNO in our history, and we've been chatting. We chatted, chatting. We've been together as a team of journalists since 2011. And
Mhm.
I got to say this, and I've been saying this to you. I say it to you all the time. TARA-JEAN changed the entire course of my life, and she could say no, and that's fine, but it's true, and I think it's really important as I continue to grow as a person. It all began with Tara Jean because I had gotten a message in 2011 that Our Town, Monmouth County, Our Town magazine, newspaper magazine. It was a magazine.
It was
It was
newspaper. It
yeah,
was paper. Yeah, newspaper.
newspaper, and she was looking for a journalist. Yeah, newspaper. Looking for a journalist, and I had retired from Luxottica Group Eyewear, and I wrote a book. I wrote a novel, which I presented, and I applied.
Hmm.
I applied for
I
that.
interviewed you.
She interviewed me and liked me, and I had the book. I gave you a copy of Vichy Water, and boom, she hired me, and I became a journalist. I was doing one column, and then you bumped me up to two or three. You put me
Yeah,
into a higher tax
we
bracket.
gave you a whole page in the newspaper called
Yes,
Calvin's Corner. We called
yeah,
it.
that's right. And that little thing in my life completely changed. And then after a period of time, 4 or 5 months, you suggested meeting Kurt Shumay from NJ Discover. Come down and meet him. You kind of nudged me. I didn't want to, and you did. And I went down and I met Kurt, and it was instant chemistry. And bing bang.
You were on
You and I
channel
are,
MCTV 77. That was the channel that we were on
yeah,
doing our stuff.
yeah. We
And
had a
then the
cable TV talk.
website.
Yep, we had a cable TV talk show that we were both the journalists.
Yeah.
And you do those things and you say, well, gosh, I can do anything now. And then my whole life just changed and changed and changed. It was all because of you. No, really. So it was all because of you. So it's all fitting and proper. That's some wording from the Constitution. It's all fitting
Sitting
and
in
proper
proper. That's
that I
funny.
return the favor and interview you now, and we can get caught up because it's hard. You're just you're so busy and everything. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk a lot about dining out, Jersey Shore, because you're the publisher of this,
Yeah.
and I did contribute something early on. This is just, by the way, this is so off topic. And before we even start, I have to throw this at you. This, in my opinion, and you can answer, this is going to have such prominence in a short period of more than it has now, even more than imagination, because we're going to become the Hollywood of the East, New Jersey. And it's all going to
Ah,
come right out of Eatontown with Netflix and their billion-dollar studio
yep.
and Lionsgate down south. And so our whole world here is going to explode, and all these entertainment people are going to need restaurants. And here you are. Think about
Yep,
that.
here I am. Yep, I'm gonna get it out there, and we already had some on my podcast. Or I have a podcast also. We have one of our writers who's very deeply involved in Netflix, and she gives us all the details about what's coming and what we can expect. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. And it's all coming. So and soon enough, another year, and boom, it's all
Yeah,
going to explode. And so dining out Jersey is going to be such a guide. It is now, and it's
yeah.
actually a beautiful magazine. We'll talk
Thank
about it.
you.
No, it
Thank
really
you.
is. I'm not just saying it. It's just a beautiful magazine. And I wrote an essay a bunch of years ago. I chickened out. I didn't publish it, but the essay was New Jersey has finally won its independence from New York and Philly, and we stand alone. Maybe I can give you
Oh, for
that essay. We,
sure.
we stand alone. We don't need their food. anymore. We don't need their singers anymore. We got Springsteen and Bon Jovi and Southside Johnny and all that stuff and Joe Bonanno. We got all of that stuff. We got
Mhm.
restaurants now to beat the band.
Oh
So
yeah,
we are now independent.
it's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So there was a TV show, Tara Jane, in the 50s before your time. It was called This Is Your Life. It was done by guy Ralph Edwards. So, Tara Jane, this is your life. I'm kind of recreating that show. So you and I go back over 12 years ago with
Mhm.
NJ Discover. When you think back to those early days, and they were early days, does anything stand out for you the most from that time we were together?
You know what? It was amazing how one day I was just being a mom and working in the PTA. I was running their talent show, doing all these things. And then the next day I was holding a microphone and interviewing people on MCTV 77, and it just everything flowed. The newspaper, and then with that, that's when I was um approached by Stephen Dick, who was the publisher of Our Town, and he came over to me after one of my MCTV shows, and he's like, "You should write for us." And it that just like started, and everything just kept flowing. And then you came along, and you and I were on the same vibe that we just wanted to get out there, meet people, experience things. Like we knew everybody had a story. We knew there were stories out there to tell, and we were every day we were like, "Where are we going today?" You brought me to places I've never been to before. I grew up in New York, but I was in New Jersey for, at that point, probably like 10, 15 years. But I never been to Asbury Park until you brought me there. How crazy is that, right? You brought me to Asbury Park. So, yeah, it was amazing, all the things. So those just stands out to me how everything just kept flowing. Everything just kind of fell in front of us, the people, the stories, then the next person, and it just kept going. And that's how I got to where I am. It just
Yeah.
kept
Correct.
going.
Correct. It was all, everything we did was foundational. It
Yeah.
was growth, it was learning. I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. We had a camera, we had a TV studio, we had all these wonderful tools. Who knew? I never studied that stuff. I studied, how to put pills in a bottle, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but
So,
you knew how to interview people. I don't know. You were good at it. You were good talking to people, and you were good at just getting information out of people. Plus your memory was so great, and the stories you have, always made people feel comfortable. That
that,
I think you taught me that too. Just kind of get to know the person and tell your story a little bit, and that helps open up that person. And if they trust you, they'll tell you a lot.
yeah,
And it's all good stuff. All good stuff. That's the other thing. Remember, we kept saying only good. Everything we're going to share is all positive, uplifting, good stuff. Yep.
exactly right.
And that's
Let
exactly what I took through into the magazine. Everything in the magazine is good. So everyone says, "Do you want to do reviews? Tell us, which one." I said, "Nope. Everything in my magazine is good. If I find something bad, I won't share it. I'll go look for the good thing and share that because it's not worth exploiting the negativity in life. There's enough that we have to deal with.
right.
So all good stuff."
And that's what we decided. You and I decided, let's just focus on positivity. There's so much
Yep.
negativity around. We just focused on raising, on elevating, and finding positive.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
it's
Elevating.
funny. I used to, along the way, NJ Discover, I had some sites and the website, and I used to write. Sometimes I'd write reviews. People would send me CDs and stuff, and I would opt out if I couldn't find something redeeming. I would opt out
Yeah.
and I wouldn't
Yeah.
write
Not worth it.
if I'd had to be. Just being honest. If I didn't like it, I just didn't, do stuff. We were a
Yeah.
great team. I look
You
back on it.
were.
We really were, and the stories that maybe someday they'll make a movie about us. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be fun.
We had some
I think it'd be
pretty.
a good movie.
We had some pretty, one of the funniest things, it wasn't funny, it was pretty serious. You and I, we hit that cemetery. You remember that?
Yeah.
We hit that cemetery with Grace, no last names, and she had a microphone, and it was a pre-Revolutionary War cemetery. Talk about
Mhm.
old. And you and I took Grace and we went there, and then she put this. The scene with you is so indelible. She put that microphone over that grave. It was a 12-year-old girl, died in like 1750, 60, whatever.
Yeah.
And she asked, "Are you a little girl?" Then we got in a circle, me, you, and Grace, and she replayed that. And I looked at your face when we heard the voice say, "Yes, I'm a little girl."
That was great. And then it started raining
Yeah,
and it was sunny out. It's all of
right.
a sudden all this water started coming,
Yeah,
hitting all the trees. It was really very strange.
very strange.
A
And
lot of
that, of
strange
course,
stuff. A lot of good
strange
stories.
stuff. And that led us to doing a whole. We did a whole. We did
If
a
you
lot
want
of.
to write a book about it, we should do it. I mean, you're writing, you're a good writer, so you might as well do a book.
I know there's a magazine, Strange New Jersey or something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we could contribute to that. We did the. This is all unreal. I've wanted to just sit with you and reminisce like this. It's hard because you're so busy, but I mean, we did the psychiatric hospital.
Yeah, that crazy stories from there.
Crazy stories
There's
from that.
definitely bad things going on there
Yep,
when we
and
entered into
that was
that
grave
spirit
stuff.
world.
Yep. Then we did that haunted restaurant. Uh,
Yep, with the
yep,
lights and the
yep.
banging.
Oh, we
Yep.
go. We should write our. All right, let's go back. Stop reminiscing. I'm slapping my face. Snap out of it, Calvin. I'm Cher snapping Nicolas Cage. Snap out of it. So back to work. Um, Did you learn anything in all those years? We were interviewing people, especially, of course, around New Jersey and stuff. Anything that particularly that you learned, you took back from that's kind of stayed with you from those early days that we did stuff together?
I mean, the thing that I can honestly say that always keeps me going and inspires me, and it did hit me back then, is the resilience of people and the struggles that everyone goes through. Like you could just pick anybody that had a restaurant or a musician or someone that was in one, working in one of those antique shops. Whoever it was, they had a story and there was always something that they had to overcome. Everyone has that. And to me, it just blows me away how people get there. Like what do you go through? What's your thought process? How do you get to that next level? And what gets you up in the morning when things are so bad? And I think that's really what I took from every interview that I had was finding out that, and people would open up to me on my interviews. Like I would speak to people and they would tell me these things, and then after the interview some of them would say to me, I've never told anyone that before, or I can't believe I told you all that. It's just, I think there was a connection that I felt when I interviewed people that I just wanted to keep going with it. So I think that's what I learned, I took from, and I keep it, and I always have it in my head that I want to learn more about people and how they come back from, bouncing back and keep going. And how do you get up in the morning? How do you brush your hair? How do you, all the things that can go wrong. And it's amazing. It's how strong we all are.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
true, true, true. Um, Tell us the origin. How did you become publisher of Dining Out Jersey Shore?
That was a phone call from somebody I went to Fordham University, and they found me on Facebook. And then they reached and they said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about an opportunity with a magazine. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah." So I gave him a call, and he was a friend from hadn't talked to him in years, and he said, "Do you want to be the editor for a North Jersey dining out magazine?" And I said, I was doing a lot of other things. I was working with marketing and stuff at a Medi Spa and all sorts of things. And I said, I'll write, I'll do some articles, and I don't think I want to do the editing. So I asked my sister, who's she's got a law degree. She's writing her own book. I'm like, it's perfect. I gave it to her, and she called me right back. She said, "No, no, no, Tara, this is you. This is all you. You can do all this. This is like right up your alley." So I took her advice. And I did it. And I did it for 2 years as editor. And then he said in 2023, the owner said, I want to expand and I want to go down to the dining out Jersey. I want to go down to the Jersey Shore. So I want to have a new magazine down there. And he said, do you want to be the publisher there? And I said, yes. I live down there. It's perfect. So 2023, I said yes in January, and in June, end of May, first week of June, we've launched the first magazine in 2023. Chef David Burke was on the cover.
Yeah.
And Calvin, I did
There it
all
is.
the sounds.
I just happen to have it right here.
Yeah, there it is. I did
Boom.
all the sounds. I did all the writing. I did all the editing. And the only thing I didn't do was the creative design because that had to be somebody. But I did that whole thing myself. It took me 6 months,
Ay,
but I did it.
wow.
So it's amazing. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And then I kept going. Now I have an incredible team. I have salespeople, I have an editor, I have a designer, I've got like 6 or 7 writers, I got like 6 or 7 photographers. I even did the own photography, and there was a lot of my own photography in that magazine the first time. But yeah, now I got a
Oh,
team.
yep. You always did photography when we were
Yeah,
doing
I
stuff.
love that stuff.
You always did camera work and
Yeah.
stuff. Always when we were doing our stories.
Hmm.
Um, so what does the magazine do for the restaurant and hospitality community here in New Jersey? And again, parenthetically, I said we're great and we're independent and we're exploding and it's going to explode even more soon enough.
Hmm. Well, the first part of the magazine, it's broken into 2 parts. The back part of the magazine is a reference guide, a dining guide. So it gives you where to go, what town you're in. You can go to the QR code, you can see pictures. QR code takes them to the website of the restaurant, and then there's the menus. So that's like a nice little dining reference, so you can keep on your coffee table. But the front part is all stories and interviews. So it's interviews with chefs, it's recipes, it's family generation stories, it's mixologists and how they do their cocktails, and then it's the mocktail movement and who's getting into everything that's really relevant and current is in there, and you get to meet the chefs. So when you go into a restaurant, you know who's in the back. You know that Chef JT is in the back cooking and chopping with 3 or 4 hours before you get there. So it's kind of cool to know that you know the chef.
So we all know the shore has so much diversity. It's the Jersey Shore is like nothing else on earth. It's so unique. How do you choose kind of how to feature something, someone?
Well, I do a lot with seasonal. So I will say, well, spring's coming up. So what's happening? Everybody wants to go outside. So let's look around at patios or, restaurants that have patios, restaurants that are doing something outside that's, changing their menu up, or maybe they have a really good location where they have a patio or a big front porch, and that'll kind of guide us. And then, with the winter, fireplaces, or who's doing like espresso martinis, things like that, that whole vibe. And of course, when you get to the summer, so a lot of it is seasonal. But what's started to happen is my writers really have taken on a whole, like, I give every one of my writers have their own personality, and they pitch the stories to me. And they say, Tara, like this, my one friend said, she said, I want to talk about hidden gems that are in strip malls. She said all those big, beautiful restaurants are getting so much noticeability because they're, in the right, or they're big, beautiful, they're on the ocean. They said, but those strip malls, there's some great stuff in there, and I want to showcase that.
I love
So
that.
I'll do it. So that's kind of how it flows. It's a
I
lot of
love
people
that.
involved.
I love that because we all just kind of pass by a strip mall because it's a strip mall and we concentrate on like freestanding kind of
Yeah.
things and never it
There's
never dawned on me there could be great, amazing restaurants there. Like who knew? Wow.
and great owners of restaurants that really would love to see you come in, and they've been cooking all night, and they've created all morning they've been cooking, and they've making new menus, and they're doing all these great things. They really want people to come in. They want to bring them into their home, their restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Interesting. Was there, and all the time you're doing this, was there a particular quote restaurant story that kind of touched your heart?
Um, it's so I can think of so many different ones, and it really does come down to when I'm talking to the chef, how much love he has for his cooking, like how much he wants to please people with his food. So and I'll say like Scratch Kitchen, which is Chef JT Dunn. He's in the back. He gets there in the morning and he's chopping and cutting and creating all these things, and it's pure love. That's insane. And then you go to like Limoncello in Aberdeen, and it's the husband and wife, and they go to Italy and they bring back things so they can make these dishes for everybody, and they walk around and talk. I mean, just it blows me away. I did not know this before I was in part of the restaurant world or the hospitality industry, how much love these people have for what they do. They're not just there cooking. It's not just a job and let me show up and get this done. They are excited. They can't wait to see how people react. They want to know that people are happy. There's so much love in it. And that just like everybody's given a gift, right? And my husband is music. He can sing and he makes people happy with that. Like you with your interviews and talking to people and bringing out what they need to share in the world. Well, these people, the chefs, their love is food, and the way they prepare it is how they give love. It's just amazing.
Wow.
So, and it's a big difference. I can tell now when I'm in a restaurant where there's a chef in the back or there's just a bunch of people doing chop, chop, chop. You can tell. You can even tell with you can tell with the whole vibe with the hostess. You can tell with the waitress. Everybody's different if they have that person in the back that's in love with what they're doing.
Wow. That is so interesting. I never in a
Yeah.
million years would have ever thought that.
Yeah.
And we love restaurants, and there's such a difference. It's a world, a restaurant, and then whatever,
Yeah.
but I never realized that, and I used to watch some of those, cooking shows with Bourdain,
Mhm.
stuff, and what's his name, goes to Italy and so. By the way, off topic, it is one of the most hypnotic for me, and I don't watch a lot of TV, obviously, but sometimes I'll stop and I'll just kind of stop and watch a cooking thing
Oh
and
yeah.
with a chef, and it just
And then chop, 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 right?
yeah, and but all that, but it's the love, what you just said. I'm
It
realizing that.
And then there's the decorating of it. And that's changed over the years. I mean, even the littlest, smallest little place, the little signs that they'll put up, or the curtains or the lighting, or the way they set that everything, there's love in it all. It's just like their home. You're coming when you go in there, you're going into their home. And it's just like your wife, you decorate your home. That's how they feel about their restaurant. It's their home. So when you come in, they want you to be happy and be comfortable and leave wanting to come back. Pretty cool.
It is really cool. I just
Yeah.
never realized that. Now you planted that in here, and I'm going to be
Mhm.
so hypersensitized.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so dining out Jersey Shore, and this always fascinates me because the Jersey Shore is so unique. We know that there's no place on earth like it. Uh, um, uh, what do you think makes the Jersey Shore dining out culture so unique and different?
It's definitely, and you know what? I interviewed Guy Fieri once in Wall Township. He came in to do he has his Santo tequila and he was signing bottles. And I interviewed him. They let us meet with him in the back of the liquor store in the storeroom, and I had like 10 minutes with him. And he said, you know what, in Jersey, everybody's happy here. He said, I like to come here because is happy. Everybody wants to have a good time. Maybe it's the water. So maybe it's the water. I don't know. But the Jersey Shore, and the North Jersey magazine and publisher and when we try to like talk about things, it's completely different from the Jersey Shore. It's
Wow.
completely different people. different clientele, different readers, different restaurants. In down the Jersey Shore, there's a hometown vibe down here. There's community, like town community, like there's main streets. And even if there isn't a main street, there's still this vibe like it's your town. And that reminds me of Brooklyn, because that's how I grew up in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, the same thing, like each of our little like Bensonhurst, Canarsie, Flatbush, we all had like our little things. And we were proud of each town, each one, if you were in a town, you were proud of it. And that's how it is in New Jersey. If you're from Belmar, Wall, Marlborough, you are so proud of your town. And there's like this whole bonding thing. So you have that when you drive through. There's like this whole town stuff. And then the ocean. I mean, the ocean, the horses, the farms, it's the Garden State. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. A
Yeah.
lot of the food they make here, they grow here. They've got farms. They like to be sustainable. So that's really huge too. So and the fish, my God, the seafood restaurants around here are insane. It's the ocean.
Yeah. We got the fish and
Yeah, we
we
got
got
the
the
fish.
shark. We got all of it. We really do.
Mhm.
We're not, this isn't a travel show, but my goodness, you realize what Jersey is. It's
And the
just,
music. We got the music too.
we got it.
Because
We sure do.
just
Capital
interviewed
of
Joe
rock music.
Bonanno.
Correct. Uh, Joe Bonanno, that's Guy Bruce, we got it all.
Mhm.
As you plunged in to dining out Jersey and stuff, I've met David Burke a couple times, once, with you and once I actually met him at his restaurant or Orchard Park. But so how do you see food? Because this is what you're doing now. Food. How do you see food connecting families, traditions, different generations, cultures? I mean, food is this common. It's a real common bond.
Mhm. Well, the world is so open to new culture now and accepting of different cultures. That's where I stand. That's how I see it. We're all living amongst each other. We all have all these different beliefs and the way we dress or our religions and our food is hugely different. And people like my kids, the 20-year-old, they want to know what the other food is like. They want to go to Thai food. They want to taste Vietnamese food. They want to have, what the Indian food. It's just so it's embraced now, and it's part of the magazine. I always try so hard. I'll go into a Vietnamese restaurant. I'll say, listen, I don't have a Vietnamese restaurant spotlighted in my magazine. I need you to come in and like I need to interview you. I need you to be part of my magazine just so I can share it with people. And believe me, I'm more terrified as the next person to go to these places where I don't understand what I'm ordering. So that education I really want to help people with too, because it's exciting and it's different. And a lot of cultures, the health food and the health benefits behind food is so important now too. So it's just, yeah, so that's huge. That whole culture part is huge. But then going back to the whole coming to my table, come sit at my table, family, like teaching generations, recipes. That's the chefs bring that. They bring all their generation recipes, and some of them travel 2 or 3, like in Limoncello and also Serena, the owner there, he like the chef there, they go to Italy and they retrain themselves on the things that are going, then they come back to share it with us to share it in New Jersey. It's crazy. Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
No, it is
So
fun.
yeah, so going to all these authentic places, you're definitely educating yourself and experience. They want you to experience what their culture is like. Saffron in Red Bank, an Indian restaurant, the owners go to India and they spend like a month there and revisit all the local places and bring back those recipes and do them here. It's what they do.
Wow.
So yeah, it's fun.
Wow. You don't. I don't. I don't.
It's a
I mean,
whole different world, the
yeah,
restaurant
it's such a
world.
different world
It's
which you're into.
so much,
There's
so
so
big.
much there, and I just never, as I'm even talking to him, I'm learning. I just never realized the love a chef has
Hmm.
and how you can spot. It's great
Yeah.
stuff. And I could ask you a million questions about that. It's just
I'd love to take you out to some of these places, Calvin.
hey,
The four of us, Fran and Joe, and you
would
and
love
me.
that. Would love that because I'm terrible with food because I don't eat a lot of different things, as you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So that kind of
And
limits.
they accommodate that, the chefs know that, they change everything for you now.
Yeah,
And they even have the menus that are geared toward that, what people's needs are.
right.
So everybody's open to it.
And you said something. I read 20 articles a day. I kid you not, on aging. I've been doing that for a million years. I take 60 supplements a day. Been doing that, and something what I'm doing is
It's
working.
right. Yeah, it's working.
This thing is working really, really well for an octogenarian. A lot of people my age are sitting on the front porch drinking prune juice on the rocks. And, I'm not, and I'm writing books and all this stuff. But
Hmm.
a big, big, big part of the picture is what you said, food.
Hmm. Really important.
Food is longevity.
Hmm.
you know, uh, 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 and that whole thing, and and we think we know a lot. We don't know much. Maybe AI will help us, but it is food, food,
Yeah,
food, food. Don't take
very important.
vitamins. Eat food.
Yeah, all the way down to like what type of olive we had on my last podcast, we interviewed someone with olive oil, and they have their own olive oil, and it's even down to the olive oil. There's so much we need to know about that we never thought about that, Calvin, right? You just go, you buy olive oil,
Right.
and you come home and you use it. But there's so much you're supposed to be looking at the bottle. It's almost like looking at going to a winery and looking at the wine and where it was from, how it was cultivated, what's in it, how pure is it. That's huge for health. Huge.
There's a. I'm laughing. There's a picture. I keep regressing. There's a picture of me and you standing. Remember we went to those wineries in South Jersey?
Yes,
This picture of me and you, I have all these pictures, and I always look at them from time to time. A picture of me standing beside this
the
big
big,
vat filled with,
yeah,
wine. And
I
then we went
remember
out to a
that.
tractor and where they do the grapes and stuff. And,
That was
uh,
fun.
hey, we got around, TARA-JEAN. We like that Beach Boy song, I get around, we got
Yeah,
around.
we
Stuff
did.
we did, my goodness. You think we're doing it for like 25, 30 years and we were on TV daily, we did the show and we accomplished a one hell of a lot of stuff. And most of that was your energy, you
No,
know?
it was you. You were
No, but it was
driving. You were the
no, it was
driver.
a lot of that was your energy and that will and that desire to, I mean, remember our first story we did together. We were driving down Asbury Park and we saw that antique store and you said, "Let's go in." We were just driving with a camera, not knowing what the hell we're doing. And you
Yeah.
saw that antique store, "Let's go in," and boom, we met that Grace.
Pilot. Yep.
Yep, the pilot. Yeah. So people don't know it, but that energy was you. It was good energy,
Oh,
really good energy.
yeah.
So let's talk about your radio show, your podcast. Uh, Tell us about the radio show, the podcast. How did it come about? Dining out Jersey Shore Radio.
Well, just like you were saying, I was always with the camera. Even, Fordham University graduated. I studied videography there, and then I worked for a production company, video production. So, and then when we worked together, we were walking around with the cameras. I did all the editing. I think I produced like over 70 shows just for NJ Discover. So then when I stopped doing that, COVID and everything came back, and then I came back to work after COVID, and then I did the magazine. I still wanted to do the video. I still was like wanting to, do the real life interviews, not just the paper, not just the writing and the stories. So um we were just approached by a radio show to a radio station, WJRZ, to see if we wanted to advertise. And I said, actually, I think I'd like to do my own show. And they said, what do you mean your own show? And I said, well, everything in my magazine can be a radio show. It's every article I can make into a story because I can bring that person in and I can interview them live. I interviewed them for the story. I can interview them live. They could talk about what they're doing, how they got started, or talk about their recipes or the cheese that they use, the olive oil they. I can make it fun and we can go crazy with it. And I could do it for a half hour. I got already had like a year and a half under my belt of magazines. And so they were like, no, we don't do that. That's not what we do. We're just really looking for you to take out an ad. And I was like, okay. And then they called back a week later and they said, you know what? We want to do it. So I said, okay. And they just let me come in. They turned the mics on. And listen, Calvin, if we hadn't had our years doing what we did, I probably couldn't have done it, but I did my first show. The producer spun around and looked at me and he's like, "You're a professional." He's like, "I'm blown away." I was like, "Well, I've been kind of doing it for a while, and you and I mean, that's what we did. We'd sit at the table and we talk to people,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. That's what I did in the podcast and then so then with the radio, there's so many people that don't listen to radio now. It's crazy. So we made it into a podcast. It's an audio podcast, so people can listen. Um, and I did that for a year and a half, and now we're at the point where we're probably going to take it to the next level. We're going to be doing video podcasts. So hopefully in this new year, 2026, that's my goals to have a video podcast.
Well, you do both. This what we're doing is also audio.
Yeah,
Uh,
audio and yep, so people can listen in the
automatically,
radio. They can
goes.
listen in their cars. I listen to podcasts all the time in my car. So.
So hey, it's a brave new world.
Mhm.
It's a brave, brave new world. We'll talk about that off-topic thing in a moment. Do you have any, excluding me and Danny? I'm teasing. Do you have any memorable moments? Something a surprising guest that happened to you?
I mean, the Guy Fieri one was great because I couldn't believe we could actually get that. So that was a fun guest. We had and then I interviewed Jesse Bon Jovi
Wow,
for his Hampton Water wine. And that was a great interview. He's such a great, easygoing guy. And all he did, like he spent so much time referring to his dad with, they have a great relationship. Unbelievable. Really good family vibes. Um, And I mean, as far as like a crazy thing, we would have food. They bring food a lot. A lot of the chefs, they bring food and they put it out. We would taste
wow,
it, stuff like that. Yeah. So that was always fun. But there was this, speaking of the olive oil again. So we did the olive oil tastings and she wanted us to taste all the different types of olive oil. So we're doing these olive oil tasting and we're tasting one. She's like, taste it. Can you taste the bitterness and the olive? And it feels kind of like grass. And then we're like, okay, and then we tasted another one and it was so bad. And she said, what do you think about that? And me and Christine, who was the other co-host, we were like, it kind of doesn't taste good. And she goes, because it's rancid. And we were like, oh my God. She said, that's what, if you taste that, she said, go home. She said, smell it. Go in your closet when you get home. And if that's what your olive oil smells like and tastes like, it's rancid and throw it out.
wow.
So sure enough, I went home and my olive oil smelled like that. I had no idea because like it has to be in a dark bottle. It's got to be a certain temperature, just like red wine. It's got to be it expires. It does expire, and it has to be a certain type of olive oil that isn't processed and chemically all this stuff because that'll make it go rancid right away. Because once they put all this, it's just a crazy story. But we were horrified that she would actually make us taste rancid olive oil on air. That was like that's a memory.
So funny. Interesting. By the way, very valuable. If
Oh
you think
God,
about
yeah.
it, who would ever think about rancid olive oil?
No, but
You
I'll
don't
never
think about
forget the
that.
taste. So
That's kind of brilliant. I guess nothing can happen to you if you eat rancid
yeah.
olive
Yeah,
oil. It just
exactly. She
tastes
said that.
lousy.
She said nothing can happen. It just tastes really bad.
Tastes really bad. Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting stuff. Really. Uh, I maybe I just answered the next question. What would you hope, leaving out rancid olive oil, what do you hope the listeners take away from your show?
just the connection with the chefs that, just like you said, I never thought of it that way. I never realized there was so much involved with what goes on in the kitchen and with the chef and with the restaurant. I love giving people that experience. That's what I would, the takeaway would be like, wow, like we interviewed Jay Cosgrove from Bars Landing, and he talked about his grandfather and how it all started. And none of us knew it. We didn't know any of the stories. So there's a lot of stories that we learned and a lot of experiences that we learned and struggles and how people pushed through. And so, yeah, so inspiring to inspire people, get people excited about going into a restaurant that they maybe drove by hundreds of times, and to try them out, and the respect. I think the chefs in that whole industry need to have a little bit more respect in the world of how important they really are to
Uh-huh.
us. They really are. I never would have said that 10 years ago because I didn't know. I didn't know.
Right.
I really didn't.
Oh, it's
So I
funny.
want to share that.
One of my great, great stories, which I actually, I don't mind plugging if I can find it uh, somewhere here. Oh, it's one of my great stories that I wrote about in my new book, 10 Things I Learned from the Billionaire, takes place in a restaurant.
Really?
Takes place in a restaurant. And I actually wrote half a chapter about this restaurant experience. So I'm with a billionaire and another billionaire and the wife and all these. They took me out to lunch when I'm working with the eyewear company because I made a great sale, huge sale to a chain with 70 stores, and they wanted to celebrate. So all the executives of the company, big company, world, and they took us out to a big fancy steakhouse
Mm.
in Long Island. It had two names, somebody and somebody. I guess it's fancier if you have two names, like Jones and Smith, but it was famous.
Mhm.
And they sat us down. It was lunch. It wasn't crowded. And the maitre d', he had like a towel over his, thing, and he comes over. It's real prim and proper. And the maitre d' goes over to the only woman at the table, the wife of the billionaire, and asks her uh, what she wants to drink. And she said, "Oh, I'll have a Pellegrino." Um, and then they went to the billionaire and asked him. And there's a the reason why I'm telling you the story. And the billionaire said, "Yeah, I'll have a Pellegrino." And they went around the whole table, the CFO, the CEO, all these major executives, six, seven, eight people. And then I was sitting. He came over to me last, and what he wanted to drink, and I just didn't know what Pellegrino was. I wasn't sophisticated then, and maybe even now. So he came over to me and in front of all these billionaire people, and he asked me what do I like to drink, and I said, "Do you have any mineral water?" And everybody looked at me, and of course, they're still laughing at me. 20 years later.
Aw,
What did
that's
I
cute.
know? But it's a
That's
restaurant. It's a restaurant story, and there's a moral to the story, I guess. But it's a restaurant story.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's just another example of like the maitre d' coming over. It's almost like theater, you going in and you sit down and you're ready for the show. What's the show? They come over, they introduce. Are you going to get a fun, happy waitress or waiter, or who are you going to get? Are they going to be entertaining? Or are they going to be very solemn? Are they going to be quiet? Then the food comes out, and it's just to me, it's like going to a show. And even the decorations, it's the set. And they set it up. Is it going? Are you going into this romantic candlelit, or are you going into something with like Mexican lights and the buffaloes or whatever? Everything it's like a show. It's a theater, and the waiter with and the maitre d', that's all part of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
design it. They design what they want and they tell people what they want. So that experience you have when you walk in.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
So I learned a lesson that was a lifelong lesson, which I wrote about.
That's
There's a
great.
moral. So changing up, you know what? Let's take a deep breath. I always like asking this question. I'm sure, I interviewed one people. I don't remember if I asked you this or not, but it's a great question. I borrowed it from Barbara Walters because I love Barbara Walters. So here goes. Excluding family or friends,
Oh.
somebody living a day you'd like to spend a day with.
So excluding family or friends, because I would have
Yeah,
said my dad
of
without
course, of
question.
course.
Um, it's gonna have to be Jesus.
Okay, okay.
Gonna have to be Jesus.
Okay.
Um, there is not anyone else in the world that I think I would look up to and would want to know how I'm doing. If there's anything more I can do, and if he's happy with me, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's who
Okay,
I'd want to talk
that's
to.
perfect answer. You know what? I'd answer the same thing because I always have visions. I always have visions of me in a I the wife was I always have visions of me in a clearing wearing a toga listening to somebody give a speech, you
Wow.
know. So kind of neat. Um, and of course
Maybe you
it's
were there in your 1200
well,
visits.
yeah, my 1200 years, I've been around 1200 years.
I'm thinking you
So
probably were.
so it's kind of cool, and it's interesting, and well, anyway, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about motherhood. Uh,
Ah,
yeah, we kind of switched. You raised three wonderful daughters. I know them all really well because I watched them grow.
mm-hmm.
Uh, what has motherhood taught you about, like compassion, leadership, and skills and stuff?
Uh, Individuality, hugely. Each one of my daughters is so completely different from the next in so many different ways. And just to respect that and to encourage it and be non-judgmental. And I think one of the things I always try to do when I'm with them is to always open them up to just forgiving and allowing each other to be the way we are. That's how she feels. Like so just to know that that's one of the biggest things I wanted to take away um, from them to take away from me is that mommy taught me just how to be patient and kind and forgiving with each other. I think I've known so many family members where sisters are against each other or fighting or not. There can be like this really big rivalry or whatever. So my goal after having three daughters was to make them so close that there's such a bond that nothing or no one would ever be able to break that. And the respect and the love and the forgiveness that they have for each other is more important than anything. And I'm always like, I'll call the one up and say, hey, your sister's kind of going through this and that, maybe just to give her a call. And I just let them be there for each other. I think that's a huge thing. And that's just individuality because in any situation you're going to be in life, you're not going to agree with the way someone handles something or the way someone treats somebody. Oh, and the boyfriends. I mean, who's one of them's not going to think the other boyfriend's great. Well, who wants that anyway? So you have your own boyfriend. Everyone has their own boyfriends, and maybe they're not going to be the ones or the husbands that you would want, but they like that. They like that. You know what I mean? There's individuality again. That unique individual thing you just got to love and respect and be forgiving about, non-judgmental.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know the answer to this next question because I saw it in action before we went on air. So how do you balance being a publisher? I saw it live in person, but I ain't going to say a word. So how do balance being a publisher, journalist, radio host, and mother?
It just integrate it all. It's all mushed together. And Christina, my middle one, is now the editor for the magazine.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Yep. And Brianna and Madison, they come to the events, they help hand out the magazines. They're all part of it. We're all together, kind of like enjoying it. It's enjoying. I mean, working with the magazine, everything in the magazine is enjoyable. It's not like it's hard work. And I just keep everything flowing. I try to always, I mean, I call them constantly. I know what they're doing. I know where they are. I'm always there if they need me, and that's hugely important. And this job gives that flexibility. So I don't think it's so difficult, the balance. I think it's just integrating it all together.
Well, you've been balancing for a long,
Yeah.
long
Yeah,
time.
I don't like to be bored. So,
No, you're not bored. I've seen it, Hey, 2000, that's 14 years.
that
I
we've
met
known each
you in
other
2011. Oh no, 15 years.
15 years.
I just aged another year. It's 15 years. It's a long
A long
time
time.
that, been part of your world, you've been part of my world, and,
Mhm.
so very, very special. Um, by the way, do you have any favorite movies?
Movies, gosh. I don't even, I mean, I have funny ones that make me laugh, and that's The Wedding Crashers. That, I mean, that makes me, I laugh out loud to that. Those guys are so funny. But I mean, I love
Okay.
all those old movies with
Okay.
Bogey, Humphrey Bogart.
Yes.
You
Wow.
know, yeah.
It's
I mean, all
incredible.
those movies are great. Black and white movies. I could listen. It's a Wonderful Life. I was
Yeah.
just watching that this year. Every year I watch it, and every year I'm like glued to the TV. So yeah,
Okay.
I love all movies. Like it's so hard for me to pick one.
That's all right. I always like to throw that in. I like the movie thing. You said It's a Wonderful Life. Of course, I'm wearing a Rutgers hat. Nobody, almost no one knows on earth that It's a Wonderful Life was written by a Rutgers grad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, nobody knows that. He wrote it in the 30s. His name is Philip Van Doren Stern. And he
Wow.
wrote it in the 30s, and nobody wanted to publish it. So he
That
published
I remember hearing that nobody thought it was going
Nobody
to hit.
wanted to publish it. He published it himself. And I didn't even know you could self-publish back in the 30s. But
Hmm.
he self-published back in the 30s, and did nothing with it. And I'm a writer, I understand about those things. And then I don't know, the people he knew in the circles he traveled through, he bumped into this guy Frank Capra, a director, a great director, one of the best, and said, "Hey, here, I wrote this. Do what you want with it." Boom, and it became a
And
movie.
boom. And now it's a classic.
And it's a
Huge.
classic, and it opened up. Actually, it's a Christmas movie, as we know, but it
Hmm.
opened up in July, and they did absolutely no
Yep.
business.
Yeah, well, it's a first time to open.
It did no business until, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 years ago. One of the
That
TV
when it
channels
got
aired it,
hit.
and boom. And then I remember a few years after that, every channel had it on. So channel 2, 4, 5, 7,
Yeah.
11, they all were airing it at one time or another the same day. And
Yeah, it's a great, great,
yeah,
great, great movie.
great movie, great movie.
Feel good
Um,
movie.
so Joe Bonanno and the God Sends a Soul are New Jersey institutions on their part, of the Jersey soundtrack, and they really are. What is
Mhm.
it like living in a household where music and performance are such a part of that life?
Well, I grew up like that. I mean, in my house, my dad was always singing. We always sang. My mother made us sing before we ate. And the holidays, everyone had to sing songs. She would hand out paper, whether it was America the Beautiful or Silent Night or whatever it was. And there was always music before we ate. And then, I mean, Joe and I, we have music on in the house all the time. It's never quiet. We're definitely music people. He's so much fun because he wakes up singing. He walks in the door, walks through the door. He's singing a song. He'll make anything into music. He's really fun. And my sister when she first met him, she was like, "You two are two peas in the pod." Because she said, remember you used to walk through the house singing and singing, always singing. I was in all the shows. I was on all the musical theater growing up. So, um, yeah, I mean, we love it. We get along really well. We're so alike in so many ways. So music is great. And then there's always a music place to go. And every time we go out to any, where there's live music, any restaurant, we walk through and we're sitting down, someone will call Joe Bonanno up. Joe Bonanno's in the house. Bring him up. And he goes up every time and he blows people away. They're like, who's that? Who is that Joe Bonanno? It's so funny. And he can just get up anywhere and just fill the room up with his voice, and he's so entertaining. So that's really fun to be around that all the time.
Hey, I'm not just saying it, but been doing the music stuff for 15 years, and I'm always amazed, truly amazed. Of course, I see all kinds of clips and stuff, and when I saw live stuff, the energy that
Energy, right?
he has is I haven't seen that. Maybe Bruce, of course, has energy. We know that, but
Yeah,
Joe has such amazing energy.
so true.
Uh, yeah, and
He can lift up a room with that. He really can.
yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift, a special energy. Um, so we're talking about Joe, and you don't necessarily have to answer this. You could, you don't have to. But are there any behind the scenes, the God, Sons, and Souls stuff, stories that come to mind? Something cute, funny, not funny? I don't know. You don't, I mean, if
I
there's
can't
nothing,
even.
there's nothing.
Yeah, I can't think. Usually it's so funny because he in the beginning I would always go later. I never was there for the opening of all his shows. I'd always like meet him later because he would always have to get there early, set up, do sound check. And most of the time I would be alone because, my kids aren't going to go with me and my friends are all doing their own thing. So I'll walk in by myself and almost every time I would walk in, he would spot me and you could see his whole face would light up and he just like then he starts singing to me and like that'll always be a great memory how I feel like and people would come up to me and say, as soon as you walked in the room, everything changed. He got it was just like his whole face lit up. So that's that's good. They're a great band and they're so good to each other, such good
Yeah,
friends, so respectful of each other and yeah, it's really, really good
yeah.
band. It's a good
There
guy.
really is. I said it, I said it to Joe that you can actually feel the like family vibes coming from
Yeah.
that band.
Yep.
It's a family, and that I don't know that much about it, but it kind of enhances the music you're hearing to
Hmm.
have that kind of bond and togetherness. Yeah, they are very special.
Yeah.
Truly, truly, truly.
And his son's singing with him now.
I
His son,
heard,
yeah.
I heard about that. That's
That's
great. Boy,
yeah,
what a
he's
feeling, to have a son,
he loves that. Yeah.
singing with you. It's besides the
He
fact that
plays
ages you,
guitar. Yeah.
it's an aging thing, but nevertheless, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Um, you, so what do you, but you got such a resume. It's like pages and pages, and anything that stands out that you're really, like really proud of. I mean, you've done so much. Yes, the daughters, these amazing,
Hmm.
and I've known them all for so long, and that is a
Yeah,
given.
they're all doing well and they're
Yeah,
healthy and they're smart and they're making good decisions and choices. Been through a divorce, which was terrible to have to go through something like that, all of us, but we've created another home that they feel peace and they feel like it's home and they're happy and feel safe. That was like a huge, huge important thing for me to recreate for them. Um, and that's the personal life that and blows me away that Joe and I met because we're just so perfect together. And then, I mean, my career, you're right. There's been so much that I've done. Sometimes I look back and I say, oh my God, who has their own magazine and their own podcast? Who has that? I mean, and how did I even get here? It's amazing. So, um, I think just I would have to say standing back and looking at everything as a whole, the fact that I was able to do that magazine by myself and just launch it and keep going with it and just you know even now I'm getting phone calls. The writers want to write this. The photographers are like, when's the next shoot? The restaurants are saying, could you write about my chef or could you write about my mixologist? And it's like everyone still wants more, and that makes me feel so good. So it's not time to stop. I'm going to keep going.
of course, of course. That's what we do.
Although Joe wants to retire soon, and
Well,
that's That's going to be difficult because if when he's retires and he's going to want to travel and go to Florida, and I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You
we'll
know,
see. But Christine is editor, so maybe she'll take over.
by the way, that's exactly right. I just, yeah, of course, she steps right
How
in.
cool would that
You'll
be?
be able to do that kind of stuff. It reminds me of the movie. I watch it every Fourth of July. Yankee Doodle Dandy,
Oh,
with
I
James
don't think I
Cagney. Do
saw
you
it.
ever
Oh,
see
I
that?
must have seen it. I must have seen James Kennedy, but I don't
Well,
remember where
he
the story
plays
was.
George M. Cohan, and it's the life story of George M. Cohan, a true
Oh,
composer, in the early
interesting.
1900s, and I get all choked up because he's trying to become a singer-songwriter and stuff, and he tries so hard, and he doesn't succeed, and he grew up with his parents, and they had a show, and they traveled, by horse and buggy to go to different towns. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Wow.
And it's just a moving, inspirational story.
Mhm.
And then he starts to become famous and all of this. And then finally, and then he's got 12 theaters he owns, and he's doing shows, and he's the hottest thing in the country, and he's rich, and there's this and there's that. I mean, it's a marvelous story. And then he retires, and he's on a farm. Uh, um, and his wife, it's a great love story. He met his wife, and they've been together and stuff. Finally lights his fire, and she gets him back on Broadway.
Oh, because the
Yeah,
retirement wasn't good for him.
yeah, it didn't work out, but
Yeah.
I watched
We'll
that.
see.
Yeah, so
We'll
that's
see
one of
what
the mistakes.
happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
you
both
bet.
like to move a lot, so we may end up the same thing
Yeah,
coming back. I could see Joe doing that, like singing in those in restaurants as like a one-man show. I could be
yeah.
selling tickets in the front or something.
Last question for now, because of course, listen, we haven't even scratched. There's just so much stuff here that
Hmm.
we have, and even we can do a whole show on some of the funny stuff and the
Hmm.
serious stuff. By the way, by the way, I wrote about this. Here's another plug. My novel's got 6 awards already. It keeps on getting awards. The Kirkus Star, and
It's a great book. It's a great book.
and there's plenty of you in here. Of course, I'll deny it, but there's plenty of you in here. But one of my favorite stories, improv. One of my favorite stories is you and I spent. We used to go back and forth to Tent City.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember this. We used to go
I
back and forth to
remember.
Tent City and Lakewood. We got friendly with Mayor. We got friendly with Minister Steve Brigham.
Hmm.
And one day we went in, we did a story, and one of that guy, I forgot his name, took us into his tent where he lived. He was homeless, and he had a new bread spread and stuff, and this and
Hmm.
that. And they showed us around, and the minister showed us around, and they're common. They had a toilet in the middle of this tent city thing, and then you and I, um, you and I never disagreed on anything. We agreed on everything, but we were driving home, and I wrote a verbatim in here. Uh, we were
Did
driving on Route 9 North, and you and I had an argument, Tara Jean. We had an
you?
argument because you're saying they're very happy and content, and they have a sense of belonging, and that kind of blew me away. And
But Calvin, what I saw was different from you saw. So what you
Mhm.
just described was not the way I would have described it. I would have said there were all these little tents and they had these little lights and then they would have fire, like they have these little fire pits and there was like chairs around in the little circles and everybody had their little zip and cabin. They'd come out, they'd hang out with each other. Pizza was being delivered. Then there was the big tent and there was a piano in there and the minister would go in there and preach to them and it was warm and cozy inside. And then like it was almost like this little town, like this little tent town. And everyone looked very happy. So I walked out saying, wow, they're really happy here. Everyone. It never even occurred to me that they didn't want to be there. That's how I felt. Like I didn't
Valid,
feel
absolutely valid. I felt the
different way of
opposite.
looking at it.
I felt the opposite. So for the first time in all our years, of collaboration, we were actually silent in the car for about 4 minutes,
Yeah.
not a word, because I'm not buying what you're saying and you're not buying what I'm saying. So after 4 minutes, then I think we looked at each other, we laughed.
Yeah. And then we laughed at the fact that it was the first time we disagreed on anything.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? This is the perfect way to end
Oh, yeah.
this. Perfect. We laughed and we realized we never disagreed. We disagreed, and it was a great collaboration that we had for all those years and continuing. So this was your life, according to that TV show in the 50s. And we did
Yeah.
good, and you did good. And of course, always come back. And there's so many stories we could tell. And to continuing stories about the magazine and the podcast and stuff
Yeah.
and the family and please
Definitely
do
come
come back.
back. I'll come
This,
back.
I look forward to this. You have no idea I look forward to this because there's some interviews, their work. This was just pure
This was
fun.
fun. It was fun. It was great, Calvin.
Thank
So I
you.
look forward to the next time. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much for
yes.
inviting me
Oh, of
on
course,
and
of
spending
course.
time with me. Had a
Yes, thank
great
you.
time.
Thank you, Tara Jean. I'm just going to stop recording. Don't leave. We'll do a 2 minute wrap. That technical term I heard. 2 minute wrap. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.